Hi everyone, my name is Manal Al-Fayez and you're watching From Scratch. On today's episode of From Scratch, we're making jams from scratch. We're making two different types of jams, a sweet and a savory one. We're going to start off by making our savory jam. For that, what you're going to need is some butter, some brown sugar, olive oil, sliced onions, balsamic vinegar, salt, and some black pepper. So for this, we're going to make a really delicious, very savory and kind of sweet jam. And what you need to do is start off by melting down your butter together with the oil. And we're using olive oil. So the reason why you want to melt those two together is because you want to make sure that butter does not brown or burn in any way. So jams really do take a lot of time. So make sure you do this on a day that you actually do have time, because it is a lot of work that requires you to always be over here mixing everything together. So make sure you got those onions nice and thinly sliced and very even in size. We're going to give this a good mix. Make sure everything is nicely coated. And we're going to add in a small pinch of salt. So what we're waiting for is our onions to start caramelizing, and once we reach that step, we're going to add in our sugar and let that sugar nicely melt together, and then we're going to end off with our balsamic vinegar. Just because jams do take quite a long time for them to cook, what we're going to do is work on two of the jams together. So I've got my ingredients for my onion jam right over here, and then ingredients for my blueberry jam right over here. So for the blueberry and rose jam, what you're going to need is the following: some lemon juice, rose buds, sugar, and some blueberries. So meanwhile, while I'm working on my onion jam, what I'm going to do is pop this onto one side. And as you can tell in my onion jam over here, it's already starting to get nice and caramelized. So the next step is to add in that sugar. You want to make sure that sugar nicely dissolves and starts caramelizing as well. So over onto my second pot, what I'm going to do is start working on my blueberry and rose jam. For that, I'm just going to pop in all of my blueberries and add in all of that sugar. together with my rose buds. And lastly, your lemon juice. Give that a nice stir. You want to keep an eye on both of your pots just to make sure nothing burns. So what you want to do is give your blueberries some a squish with your spatula, just like what I'm doing. And this is just going to help with fastening the process, but just make sure that you don't squish all of those blueberries. You want to keep a nice texture to them. So you may think that these two jams are quite hard to pair, but fear not, they're actually very easy to pair with literally anything. We're going to show you exactly how to pair them and what to pair them with. So what I have planned is for our onion jams to be paired with some cheese, some brie cheese on a crisped up baguette slice, which is super nice to have as a snack. And what I have planned for our blueberry jam is to pair it with some French toast. So our onion jam looks right around ready. What I'm gonna do for our last steps is add in our balsamic vinegar. So we're just gonna let that balsamic vinegar nicely reduce down. In my pot over here with my blueberries and my rose petals, I have a texture that almost resembles something called a compote. If you do stop over here, what you have is a compote that you could easily pair with literally anything. In my opinion, you can pair it with some pancakes, some waffles. It's really delicious, but we're gonna cook it down even more to create a jam. So to reserve these jams, what you wanna do is sterilize some jars if you do wanna keep them for a long period of time. I did make a small amount, so what I'm gonna do is actually share this together with my family, with my friends, and we'll be able to have it as it is. I'm not gonna store it, but if I were to store it, I would sterilize a jar and seal it nice and shut and leave it out at room temperature. Once you have it open, you could place it in the fridge. So my onion jam over here is nice and done. What I'm gonna do is switch off the heat and let it cool down slightly. And what I'm gonna do over here is just keep on cooking my blueberry jam until it's nicely reduced and has a jammy-like texture. So as I said initially, jam does take a long time for it to cook down to the perfect consistency. So my onion jam is nice and cooked perfectly. What I'm gonna do is set it aside until it cools down to the perfect temperature. What I'm gonna do is keep on cooking our blueberry and rose jam until that perfect consistency. Right after the break, we're gonna start working on our French toast to be paired with our sweet jam. So here is our onion jam. I just put it in a bowl to let it cool down. I'm gonna set this aside for now. What we're gonna work on right now is our French toast. And for that, what you're gonna need is some cinnamon, vanilla, some sugar, milk, and just a little bit of butter to grease your pan. and some brioche slices. Opt for thicker slices of brioche. That's going to give you really nice texture as well. I also have some eggs over here that I already whisked up, and I had 2 pieces of eggs. So what I'm going to do right now is just whisk everything together. So right into this bowl, what I'm going to do is add all the ingredients. Keep in mind, I do have my blueberry jam cooking down on a very low heat onto the side. So we're just whisking everything together, and this is going to be the liquid for your French toast. So what I'm going to do is pour this right onto a tray. Meanwhile, I'm gonna switch on my heat in my pan and get it nice and hot, ready for me to start cooking. What I'm gonna do is just add in a touch of butter into my pan. Let that melt while you dredge your brioche slices. Make sure your brioche gets a nice dredge in that liquid. So my butter is nicely melted. What I'm going to do is put in my brioche slices. And we're going to let that cook down on each and every side. So I really like using brioche for my French toast. You could go ahead with using any type of bread for your French toast. If you don't like that extra added butter, brioche contains a huge amount of butter, and that's why it tastes really great. So for me, I prefer brioche. You could go ahead and substitute the bread with whatever it is that you desire. So make sure you cook down the brioches or the French toast in this case quite well. You don't want to go on too high of a temperature where you'll risk burning it down without the center being cooked properly. So just go on a very low heat, get it nice and browned on every side, and then you're ready to start plating everything together. Once you're sure that you properly cooked your French toast, what you want to do is take it out of the pan, let it rest for some time, and then plate everything together. So both of our jams are ready to be plated up. What we're going to do for the French toast is plate everything together. So I'm going to go ahead and grab our French toast as well as our blueberry jam, blueberry and rose jam. So I'm gonna put a nice dollop of that right on top and use my spatula to kind of get that all over. final layer goes right on top. So as you can tell, we really got that jammy consistency, which is the perfect consistency that you want to achieve if you do want to achieve a jam. If you want to get a looser kind of consistency, then I would recommend you opting for a compote, which is cooking it just a little bit less. So I'm gonna finish off with some icing sugar. And I'm gonna garnish with some rose petals. And here's our French toast that is ready and completed. What's left to do is pair together our onion jam with some crisped up baguettes, together with some brie cheese and our onion jam. So what I have over here is very easily sliced baguette, and what I did was I preheated my oven at 180 and I greased up my baguette slices and I popped them in the oven to crisp up very nicely. So what I'm gonna do to start off with is grab that onion jam and add a good amount onto each, just like so. And what I'm gonna add next is some sliced up brie cheese right on top. These are really wonderful snacks that you could serve at parties, at any sort of occasion, or even just to snack on. So I'm just gonna add in just a small pinch of salt onto each. And this is sea salt that I'm using. And to garnish, what I'm gonna do is add a fresh sprig of some rosemary onto each. And here you have our two really delicious, very easy to make jams made from scratch. We made a blueberry and rose jam to pair together with a French toast, and an onion jam to pair with some crostinis and some cheese. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time on From Scratch.